Food stamp riots? What? When was the last time you heard of that, if ever? I mean, heard of breadline riots back in the Great Depression, but food stamp riots? But that's what's being threatened. And President Trump is meeting with Xi Jinping in South Korea, has already met with him. They're calling it a 12 out of 10 meeting. I was a couple of minutes late putting together the live stream right now because I was getting some late information about the meeting, and I was looking that up, and I look at the time, and I said, whoa, I'm like 10 minutes late on this. But if you're listening or watching later on in the replay, you're thinking, I don't care. It doesn't affect me. I listen or watch later on. Thanks for finding the Wicked Radio live stream and podcast. Appreciate you as always. I'm Bill. Wherever you like to get them, that's where you're going to find this. And also the audio-only stream as well. So let's get right to it. Let's start with some overnight news. Big meeting between President Trump and President Xi Jinping. It was in South Korea. I'm going to just play a little bit of the meeting audio and video for you, and then afterwards, we're going to predict the headlines today before they even come out, because you know exactly how this is going to go.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great honor to be with a friend of mine, really for a long time now, if you think about it. The very, very distinguished and respected president of China, and we will be having some discussions. I think we've already agreed to a lot of things, and we'll agree to some more right now.
Okay, now this is the part. Now, if you think back just a few years, the last time he met face-to-face with Xi Jinping during the first administration, during the first term, you remember how the headlines went. Before, during, and after. And we're going to have to wait till the after this time to get the headlines today, but this is, let's just make a little prediction towards the end of the week here. This is how it's going to go. It'll either go one of two ways. President Trump bows down to Xi's demands. That'll be the number one. Or they'll go the other way, and the headlines will be, Trump threatens Xi Jinping over tariffs. Is war next? I mean, that's a little bit of hyperbole, but how far off am I really? Because it's exactly how they did it the last time, and I will tell you this. This is where you want Trump in a negotiation setting, sitting down at a table across from a world leader like that. Did this really, even if you didn't vote for him, maybe you didn't like him at all, maybe you're a Republican never-Trumper, maybe, or you're just a Democrat and you absolutely hate the guy. But I'm telling you, for the best for this nation, this is where you want this guy. He wants to be at a table sitting across from, I won't call him an adversary, but somebody he wants to get something from. We want to straighten out and hammer out these trade deals, right? That's where you want Trump, despite what the headlines are going to tell you today, tomorrow, and all through the weekend on the Sunday talk shows as well. They're going to portray this meeting as anything but what it was. And you've already got trade officials, administration officials who were there are saying this meeting went above and beyond all expectations. I would expect good things from this, but you're not going to hear that from the headlines because they never, ever do. All right, speaking of Trump, this was the most disappointed I've ever been in President Trump. Ever. And it was confirmed on the plane on the way to South Korea before the meeting with Xi Jinping. No, he said this, the ruse is over. Now, it takes him forever to get to this, but I wanted this to go on for 2.5, 3 more years. I really did. Turns out, everybody, he's not going to run for a third term. I was enjoying this so much, watching the lib meltdown on this because it was fantastic because they actually believed it. I wanted this ruse to go on forever, but he actually confirmed, no, he put this one to bed. Again, it takes him forever to get to this, and he's bragging about his ratings and the amount of votes he got and all this stuff, but the fun's over.
The sad thing is I have my highest numbers that I've ever had. As I should. I ended 8 wars, and we have the greatest economy in history. And by the way, energy prices are way down. Everything's way down. Beef is a little bit high. We're going to get beef down too. But prices are down, and the economy's up. The only thing that's not down is the stock prices. And the 401ks are through the roof. Everyone's 401ks hitting records. So we have the greatest economy we've ever had. I have my highest poll numbers that I've ever had. And, based on what I read, I guess I'm not allowed to run. So we'll see what happens. It's a very interesting thing. I have the best numbers for any president in many years, any president. And I would say that if you read it, it's pretty clear. I'm not allowed to run. It's too bad. I missed it.
It took him forever to get to that, but the fun's over. God, I was enjoying this. This was so, because nothing set them off, like the lunatics in the media, the people who are, and you may know many of them in your life, right? This was all attached to the No Kings thing. He's going to run a third. He's never going to leave office. He's never going to leave. He thinks he's a king. God, this was so much fun, but he put it to bed there. I wish he would at least given it another year, but here's a perfect example of this, of the meltdown that they were having over this. Listen to this lunatic. I'm pretty sure, this is CNN. Before he confirmed that he's not going to run for a third term, because you can't constitutionally, you dopes, here's a little example of the meltdown they're having.
I don't take it seriously because he will, be in violation of the Constitution, and he should be arrested if he attempts to do that.
You think he should be arrested if he attempts to have a third term in any way? At what point? I mean, if he talks about it, what constitutes doing that in your view?
If he files to run for presidency and attempts to run for elections, and then circumvents and ignores the rules, I think that would be a quick decision by the Supreme Court. Then at that point, once his presidency is up, when he is, supposed to be, out of office, he's a violation of the Constitution of the United States, and he should be arrested.
Should be arrested. This was so much fun. I'm going to miss this. I'm really going to miss this. Couldn't he have given us at least another year of entertainment, driving them insane about this? But no, it's not going to happen. I think he was enjoying it too, but I think somebody in the administration got to him and they said, "Sir, you can't please just, put this one to bed, would you please?" I don't know. All right, let's get a shutdown update. How's it going? And this is going to lead into the thing I talked about first thing in the introduction. Food riots? Food stamp riots? SNAP benefits riots? What? That popped up yesterday, but what's leading to that? And I don't say this often because if there's any criticism I have, and I criticize them too, believe it or not, a lot, the wimpy Republicans never push back hard enough. They never, ever do. But they might be learning to fight. They might be this time. This guy is John Thune. Now, everybody who said that yesterday, this was all over the place. John Thune never gets mad. He was boiling mad yesterday. Okay. This is the Republicans' version of boiling mad. This was John Thune on the floor yesterday, just absolutely ripping the Democrats. They need more of this, but if this is their version of ripping mad, he needs to pick it up a few notches even from here.
And we've tried to do that 13 times. And you voted no 13 times. This isn't a political game. These are real people's lives that we're talking about. And you all have just figured out 29 days in that, there might be some consequences.
Okay, not bad. I think it's a start, but I mean, I don't understand. People are praising him up and down, saying, I've never seen anybody that mad on the Senate floor. Well, if that's our baseline standard, you need to pick it up like 10 notches, because that's not mad enough. You need to yell and scream and get in their faces and do whatever you have to do, because that's what they do. But I'll take it for what it is. It's a start. Now, later on, this took a long time because he was, using his time on the Senate floor. Later on, he specifically called out, and this was good. They had, every once in a while when they use their time and they have one of their staffers bring up like a big placard that they printed up from the Office of Printing or whatever the hell they have up there. He printed out the words and the threatening words of some of his Democrat colleagues who were voting against the continuing resolution, the clean bill. One of those was Minority Whip Catherine Clark, the Congresswoman. Now, she's on the record now, and this is popping up everywhere. You might have seen this, as saying it. I don't know where they get off talking to their media friends or podcast friends or whatever it is and actually saying this out loud, but they are. But thank God they do, because this was so revealing. This is Catherine Clark telling you, telling me, telling her colleagues, her constituents, telling the nation that they're using, this is the God's honest truth, you'll hear it here in a second, they're taking away the SNAP benefits, which are set to expire on Saturday, as leverage. Here it is in her words, not mine.
I mean, shutdowns are terrible. And of course, there will be, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously. But it is one of the few leverage times we have.
That's a quote that you should always remember through this shutdown. It's one of the few leverage times we have. It's extortion. is what it is. And she just told you what it is. They're using the ultimate threat, which is backfiring. Hold on, I'll get to that in a second. They're using the ultimate threat of taking SNAP benefits, new word for food stamps, away from most of their constituents to try to create chaos to force the Republicans to cave to them. And I don't think it's going to work this time. Yesterday, I had two examples of how they're losing the media. This continued again yesterday afternoon. When's the last time you heard something like this?
Are you ready to vote with the Republicans to reopen the government at this point as a reasonable Democrat? Maybe others would follow you.
You know, I'm not there yet because we have had literally, Joe, no discussion whatsoever about how we're going to deal
This
with
is the
these
right way
spikes
to
in
do it,
premiums.
Senator? By people not getting paychecks at the TSA? This is extortion. You think this is the right way to do it? In your conscience, you think it's the right way to do it? I never thought I'd say that, Andrew, that it as a human being, he always says that. As a human being, you think this is the right thing to do? That's your line.
Well, that's why Senator Hawley and have our bill to make sure that folks get the nutrition that.
That's CNBC. Okay, so you've had now, and Jake Tapper did this the other day, which was great, did a great job on this. You've got CNN a couple of different times, CNBC, MSNBC has turned on them. None of this is going well for them. None of it, because everybody realizes who keeps blocking this. But what's the result? You don't have most people, despite you, listener, viewer, being so well attuned to the news and understanding what's going on and having your own opinions about things and being a free thinker and an independent. That's not most people. Most people aren't like you. Most people aren't like me. Most people aren't like us. They're just living their day-to-day lives, and they're trying to get by, including a lot of the people who are dependent on these SNAP benefits. That's a separate discussion, how you feel about that. How you feel about, Bobby Kennedy Jr.'s plan to clean up what you can buy on SNAP benefits. How you feel about government welfare programs in the first place. How you feel about all the SNAP benefits that were increased during COVID, which are still in place, by the way, in many states. That's a separate issue. What we have now are the same people who are dependent on them going on social media, because they all have accounts, it seems. They all have phones, and they're all organizing something, organically or non-organically, but something happening this weekend. Again, those SNAP benefits, because of this shutdown, set to expire on Saturday. That would be November 1st. Now, go back before you hear this lady about what Catherine Clark said in that interview right there. This is one of the few leverage points they have. It may be the only leverage point they have. They're doing this, and I have a real feeling that everybody knows who's to fault for this. But regardless, this weekend, food riots? Food SNAP riots? They're starting to come up with labeling terms for this. In our nation, this weekend, if you haven't paid attention to this, it's all over, mostly like TikTok. Facebook has it too. If you haven't dove into the inner depths of where some of this is popping up on social media, I'll just cherry pick one of these videos for you and tell you exactly what's going on, because you need to be aware of it. Don't be afraid of it, but understand where it came from. This lady's video, I'm telling you, is all over the place. This is one of the most viral topics going on in social media right now. It is for real, and I think everybody, like this lady right here, knows exactly what's causing it. Listen to this.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great honor to be
President. He's not going to be in a food stamp riot.
And I just want to come on here and say to you people that be standing in front of the stores and the Good Samaritans and all of that, when November 1st come, and if they don't uplift this shutdown for these SNAP benefits, I'm going to need y'all to mind y'all business. Please mind y'all business. Those people, they trying to feed their kids, and they trying to go home and just feed their kids. And I would hate for you to not be able to make it back to your family, and for you to not be able to make it back home because you trying to save these billionaire companies, you hear me, of their funds when they actually have insurance on every box of macaroni in there.
All right. This is going to surprise you, but I think she makes actually a couple of good points in there. Yes, absolutely. For you, me, and everybody else, all the normals out there, it's not our job to try to stop somebody from stealing, if that, in fact, does happen this weekend. It's not our job. Don't put yourself in that dangerous situation. Let the store security, that corporate environment handle that. She's absolutely right about that. But that's way more common than you think, is that mindset that she has. Is I have a right to steal because of my benefits being taken away. And, well, these are billionaire store owners anyway, so they can handle it and their insurance covers all this. Right or wrong, it doesn't matter. It's not up for you or me or anybody else to decide or get involved with that. That's the mindset, and that's what will happen. The other takeaway on this is this actually this is a leverage game. It's like Russian roulette with this. You heard the Democrats right there just a couple of minutes ago say this. They're using this as a leverage point. That's extortion to try to win their government shutdown battle, to win the points that they want to put. Medicaid for illegals, all this other stuff. And they're using the SNAP benefits, the food stamp benefits, government assistance as the leverage point for all of this. After this weekend, we're going to learn a lot about where we are if this government shutdown isn't cured and solved by that time, because of what you heard that lady say right there. And I'm telling you, I promise you, if you don't have time to jump into social media and find all these videos like that, it's into the millions. It's into the millions and millions of views of people saying the exact same thing. It's not our job to get involved with that, but watch to see who gets blamed for this. It's going to be fascinating to see, but don't put yourself in danger. But it's only growing, and now we know exactly who's using that as leverage. All right, let's lighten this up a little bit. A lot of heavy news today, so we're on the cusp tomorrow. If you're listening or watching this later on during Halloween, it doesn't matter to you, it's today. Halloween time, spooky time. Now, by this time, now you're really in the red zone before Halloween. If you partake, if you have a bunch of kids who come to the house normally every single Halloween night, you've already bought all your candy, you've already stocked up. I hope to God you're not like me and you've kind of delved into your Halloween candy supply already. That kind of happens. But I will tell you this. Every single year this time, right before, the day before Halloween comes out, we have the #1 final survey of America's most popular candy. And despite what you may believe, the #1 candy in the country every single year, by amount bought, whether you like this or not, is, are you ready? Candy corn. That's right. #1 in the nation, which is why today they have named it National Candy Corn Day. And most of you, unless you're afraid to admit it, most of you are saying, oh, candy corn is disgusting. Well, let me tell you something. There's a reason why it's #1. And I, for one, am not afraid to admit that I love candy corn. And I don't care what you think. I may have lost followers because of that. I love candy corn. It has become like some sort of, remember it used to be a thing, not so much anymore, where you're afraid to say that you voted for Trump. Now the thing is now somehow it's your people are afraid to admit that they like candy corn. Well, I do. And every once in a while you have this survey in a group of friends, or you're playing a social group in a game, and it's like, your most disturbing trait. Admit it now. This is my go-to all the time, and it freaks people out. The most disturbing thing about me, I love candy corn. People are horrified by that. But if you're of the same mindset and you still like it too, keep one thing in mind. It's still the most every single year, the most popular candy, the most candy bought in the nation before Halloween every single year. And there's a reason why. I think there's a whole underground nation of people who are fans of candy corn who are afraid to admit it. Don't be afraid anymore. Don't you be afraid. You speak your mind. All right, on serious stuff, the big takeaway is this whole food stamp that you're going to hear this pop up today. And if you're on other channels, on other social media, you hear people talking about SNAP riots, food stamp riots, stealing from grocery stores this weekend, if they don't clear this up. It's a thing you need to be aware of, but not involved with. Just be careful. And watch again for the headlines for President Trump's meeting with President Xi Jinping. They're going to try to slam this thing every day till Sunday. But for you and me and everybody else, that's the guy you want at a table sitting down with a trade adversary, because that's where he's at his best. That's where he wants to be. Trump's entire goal is to get to a table sitting across from somebody he's trying to make a deal with. Remember that, even if you don't like the guy. All right. Where's my candy corn? Tomorrow's Halloween. It's spooky day. We're going to get into that as well, but don't forget about that. And this, wherever you like to get your audio podcasts, Wicked Radio is there for you. All platforms, and once this live stream is over in a couple of seconds, lives on as a post and a replay and a podcast. Every single channel, just look for it. Thanks for hanging out with me. Even though I started a little late today, I appreciate you. Tomorrow's Halloween. Go get some candy corn and enjoy. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Make it a wicked awesome day.